Hello, my name is Kwame Abua, and I'll be taking you through this webinar. This webinar was hosted by Desmond Israel, a compliance consultant in Ghana. Today, we're going to be looking at how to navigate digital regulatory compliance in Africa. First, we ask ourselves, what is the importance of going digital? Digital determines who wins and who loses in the 21st century business. Digital definitely comes with some benefits. However, it does have some frictions attached to it as well. Some of the benefits of going digital includes increasing market reach by being able to target even new market segments, reduce costs, which helps the bottom line and profits of any organization. Some of the frictions that come with going digital includes 1. Fraud, and this might range from data breaches down to credit card and mobile money fraud, which has become very problematic on the continent. Also, one of the major frictions of going digital is user experience issues. Going digital means that a product will naturally exclude people who do not have access to digital services. Also, poor online experiences mean that people have to sometimes go to the physical branch to get something done. And finally, there are limitations to what can be done online and what can be done offline. Today's webinar will look at 1. Regulatory compliance considerations in key African markets when onboarding customers digitally. Secondly, we'll take a look at onboarding channel preferences for different demographics. Then we'll demonstrate how the Appruve API can be used to enable onboarding. And finally, we will talk about taking advantage of the current COVID-19 crisis to enable digital processes move further. First, let's start with regulatory compliance in digital onboarding in Africa. Why onboarding is a key question we should ask ourselves. Onboarding is important because most of Africa's digital startups are either e-commerce focused or transport focused, or they are into payments or they are into information. And finally, from a digital perspective, all these verticals are held together by the telecom sector of Africa. Now, one thing we realize from these verticals are 1. They all actively collect user information. Secondly, they all enable payments or collect payments from users. This means that they deal with people, they deal with data, and they deal with money. And if you deal with people, data, and money, definitely you have to deal with regulations. You have to deal with regulations in relations to people, which is 1. Know your customer and customer due diligence regulations. You have to deal with regulations that deal with anti-money laundering and countering financing terrorism. You also have to deal with data-related regulations, such as data protection laws and consumer protection laws. These regulations are in place to ensure that the handshakes that go on behind providing any digital service meets the compliance register of knowing who the people are, how much they are sending, and making sure that people's data are protected. But the most important are the regulations that relate to knowing who is sending what or who is making what payments. We will drive down into onboarding regulations across key African markets. We'll look at some of the key players in the countries we'll use as a case study. We'll look at the onboarding document, and we'll also check out the legal register of these countries. We will start by taking a look at Ghana. The key players in Ghana's compliance regulatory space are mainly Ghana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ghana's National Identity Authority, and the Bank of Ghana. Also, another key player is the Registrar General Department of Ghana, which is in charge of business registrations and other individual registrations as well. The key onboarding documents in Ghana are a lot, ranging from the passport, Ghana's voter's ID, down to tax numbers and social security numbers. Most of the laws that guide KYC, customer protection, and anti-money laundering have been enacted since 2008. And Ghana is one of the first few countries that passed the data protection regulation law in sub-Saharan Africa. Also, similar to Ghana is Kenya, where we have 3 main institutions that handle business registrations. They also handle money movement and also looks at registering people. The key onboarding documents in Kenya are the KRA PIN, the passport, and the national ID. Kenya also has all the necessary regulations to manage the key registers we are looking at, that is people, data, and money. Similarly, Nigeria has different institutions managing different aspects of the legal registers we're looking at. But one thing which is peculiar to Nigeria is the multiple institutions have different overlapping functions when it comes to managing KYC, data protection, and money laundering. Another unique thing to Nigeria is the bank verification number, which is a biometric identity type used to create bank and mobile money accounts. It is called the BVN. This BVN is unique on the continent. It is similar to the Aadhaar in India, but it's specifically meant for users to access financial services, and is one of the few systems specifically designed to enable and financial services increase their reach across the country. To open a bank account in Nigeria, you need a BVN. This is good. However, the BVN depends on having a Nigerian identity or some form of residence permit. This puts away a critical mass which the BVN was supposed to help. Realizing these pitfalls, in 2017, Nigeria Central Bank created different levels of the BVN using a 3-tiered KYC system. This 3-tiered KYC system enables different levels of transactions. From the very first tier, which doesn't require someone to use a BVN to create an account, but has very severe limitations on the transactions that the user can carry out. Looking at the 3 countries that we just went through, we realize that one thing is clear: there are multiple regulatory institutions. There are unclear and overlapping regulatory frameworks handling different aspects of the legal register. And also, one thing based on our research that we realize is there's a lack of strong ID systems due to the distribution of multiple ID cards to handle different aspects of regulatory compliance. This multiplicity of ID cards creates a major compliance problem for service providers, as they have to find a way to verify each individual ID when they want to onboard their users. And this is difficult and inefficient currently, leading to weak ID systems. One key takeaway that we can realize from these markets, however, is that despite their similarities in complexity, each market has its own local specific context. And also, most AML and digital laws are recent and evolving across the continent. Hence, there's still a lot of time to make a lot of input when it comes to influencing compliance regulations. For a business, the key takeaways of this are: 1. A business must follow data protection principles. Businesses should also have strong internal compliance policy and should do risk planning. Also, businesses should train their staff on compliance from day one, so that everybody in the organization works in accordance with the compliance laws of the countries they operate in. Quickly, to recap, why onboarding? Onboarding is important because you actively collect user information, enable payments, or collect money from these users. So if you deal with people, money, and their data, you definitely have to follow compliance laws. And the compliance register for these 3 areas looks at: 1. Know your customer regulations, anti-money laundering regulations, and consumer protection regulations. Knowing that, we move on to the next segment, which is knowing the onboarding channel preferences for the different demographics on the continent. At Appruve, we carried out a study to see how compliance prevents onboarding on the continent. And what we realized is, for onboarding processes that were not successful, 43% of it are due to compliance-related reasons, especially on the digital front. People we interviewed complained of, one, too many questions, and that represents 19% of that number. The rest said that they do not trust what their data will be used for. And finally, 11% of them do not have the requisite compliance documents as at the time they needed to present them on the digital platform. We also asked what channels people prefer to use when they are onboarding. What we realized is that the people on the bottom of the pyramid, or older users, preferred a face-to-face method or using low tech such as SMS or USSD, which was in contrast to people in the young users or medium scale category who preferred a mobile app or a web app to do their onboarding and access information related to service providers. We currently took a look at how financial services are handling onboarding across the continent. And what our study showed us is, largely, currently onboarding is still being done offline due to compliance reasons. Let's take a case study, for instance, with Equity Bank in Kenya. Equity Bank is one of the largest banks in the East African region and in Kenya as well. On their website, to open an account, you are directed to a page, and this page shows you the requirements for you to open the account. It shows that you require certain onboarding documents, and after getting this onboarding documents, you can fill up the form and you can send it to the nearest Equity Bank branch. Now, when we had a conversation with Equity Bank, what we realized is the reason they require the submission of the form at the branch is because they do not have the capability to verify the users online. So the question is, how are financial services handling onboarding whilst keeping compliance globally? And from my research, we realized that a lot of global firms and even some local financial service providers and other service providers do onboarding digitally using different onboarding tools and software. One of it, which I'm going to talk about here, is Appruve. Appruve is an API that enables a service provider to verify the financial identity of businesses and individuals across the continent using data. Appruve has two products, mainly Appruve Identity and Appruve Agency. And Appruve Identity is to enable bottom of the pyramid users that we talked about earlier to be onboarded on a financial service or a service provider's platform using their identity document or their identity number in order to reduce fraud. Appruve Identity is available in 4 countries, namely Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, and Uganda, and it is used to verify different identity types from passports to national IDs to tax registration numbers and business registrations. Also, there is Appruve Agency, which enables service providers to remotely onboard their users using their facial biometrics. Hence, they do not require to be present physically at a bank branch to do this verification. And this particular product of Appruve enables service providers to onboard the medium and upscale users who are mostly in the young category. Appruve Agency can mainly be used through APIs and SDKs. How does it work? It connects to several different identity databases. Then, technology is built on top of the data which is gathered. Then, an interface is created to enable the financial service provider to verify and onboard its users. Let's go through a web demo quickly. To use Appruve, you get an API token on the Appruve website. Then from there, you integrate it into your application. But let me take you quickly through a web demo. To use this web demo, you can navigate to demo.appruve.co. So basically, a user comes to your application. They are requested to upload their identity document, When they upload this document, OCR technology pulls out the details of this document. Then the user is asked to upload an image in which a liveness check will be done to verify that this user is indeed the user who owns that particular ID document which has been uploaded. And using a risk-based system, we will verify the identity of the user and present it to enable the person to be verified and onboarded successfully. Because Appruve is an API interface, it can be used across multiple channels, mainly through web, mobile, and USSD channels. The final section of this webinar will look at how digital regulatory compliance can take advantage of the current situation and beyond. First, we ask ourselves, what impact will this period have on compliance? Will regulators become more responsive, or will it be business as usual? And what does this mean for digital businesses and their compliance systems? Let's take a case of Zoom, which is one of the stars of this period. Zoom is experiencing increased reach, which is one of the benefits of going digital. However, due to Zoom bombings, they are also experiencing a lot of security issues, which is affecting the trust people have for the Zoom platform. So in as much as they are increasing, they also face a major compliance challenge and security challenge they have to deal with. And this illustrates to us the importance of compliance in going digital. As you increase and scale, you face a whole lot more compliance and security related issues. What are the answers? Currently, nobody exactly has clear answers to this, but what has been noted over time during times of crisis that usually works are 1. Collaboration and bringing everyone to the table, especially compliance experts, to discuss the best ways and the best policy frameworks to put in place for compliance moving forward in the new normal. Secondly, acting quickly, because if you want to take advantage of the times, it's best to act now so that the benefits can be seen in the medium to long term. And finally, taking full advantage of the situation to revamp compliance systems to take advantage of digital fully on the continent. So, we collaborate, we act quickly, and we take advantage. And based on that, we can influence the digital compliance landscape in Africa. Appruve is currently working on a white paper on digital compliance on the continent. And do please reach out to us if you want to be part of this compliance white paper that we'll be putting out there. Also, if you want to onboard and verify your users in a seamless manner, reach out to us at appruve.co. Let's have a conversation on how we can help you do that. My name is Kwame Aboa, and thanks for listening into this webinar.